Alright, so I am going to be doing a review on the Inquisitor Transport Scythe. So, this set released in August of 2022 for a retail price of $100 and retired in December of 2023. But you can still pick up this set for about the retail price. And this has set number 75336, 924 pieces, 4 minifigures, and an age rating of 9+. So, our first figure is this Obi-Wan. And as you can see, he does include this pretty big cloth piece, but my main issue with it is just that it doesn't fold down very well, so it sticks out a bit too much. And underneath it, he does have a decent torso print, but sadly, no leg printing. And the cloth piece is made of a more soft material, which I do like. And his back print is okay. And I do like his face print. I think it looks pretty good. And this is the second face. We also get a second iteration of the Grand Inquisitor. First off, he does include this new armor piece, which I think looks okay, but I definitely prefer the original Grand Inquisitor armor, just because I feel like with the new one, the shoulder pads are way too high above his arms. And he does have a pretty good print on his torso and legs. I think it looks decent, but I kind of wish that his legs were dual molded. I just think that would have looked a bit better. And his face print is okay, but I personally think that the original Grand Inquisitor face print is just better, just because it looks a lot more sinister. And he does include a cape, and there is a clip on his back for the lightsaber. We also get a second iteration of the fifth brother, and I personally just prefer the original fifth brother, and that's just because of his face print. I'm not a huge fan of the face on this figure. I just like the original one, just because, again, it looked a lot more sinister. But to be fair, the actual fifth brother in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show did not look the best. But the figure does have a decent print on his torso, and he does actually use the exact same legs as the Grand Inquisitor. And his arm piece looks okay. It doesn't have any printing on it, which is fine. And he does include his triangle hat thing, which I think looks fine. And there is a bit of a print at the back of his head, which is actually accurate to the show. But all of it is covered up by the helmet piece anyway. And there is also a clip for his lightsaber. Our final figure is Reva. The print on her torso looks decent, but she lacks leg printing, which isn't the best. And her face print is fine. I don't really have any complaints about it. But I am not a fan of her hairpiece. I just don't think that this hairpiece looks particularly good, and plus, it just isn't very accurate. In fact, I feel like this hairpiece would have been the better choice. And she does include this Mandalorian cape, but it's actually made of a more soft material. And this is her back print. Overall, this is a decent minifigure selection, I guess. I wish that we got at least another figure. And plus, there are totally some options LEGO could have included. Like Owen Lars, the random Jedi character. Or the best one would have to be this other Inquisitor, just because we haven't gotten her before, and those two are just remakes. Overall, the model looks great. First off, there are, of course, these main front spires, and they look pretty good. They are very complicated, and they are definitely a bit tedious to build, but, I mean, hey, they look pretty good. But, quick warning, if something breaks off in the wrong way, or you mess something up while building it, it is really difficult to fix. First off, there is some tile right there, which I do like, and a bit of tile on the top. And they did use some of those little slope pieces, and they look pretty good. There are some grills, and a bit of tiling and stuff right there. And at the front, there is the main ramp, and it leads nowhere. So the ramp doesn't actually lead into the ship. It just leads into a little area right there, which is a bit disappointing, but I like to pretend that this area is actually some sort of prison bay. And if you're curious, this whole thing can open up to allow a bit easier access. And over here, as you can see, there is a lot of tile, and I think it looks very good actually. I especially do like the ingot pieces. I think it looks pretty good mixed in. And the wings themselves do look very good actually. There is of course these little main blasters. It's a more tile there, and I think it looks pretty good. And The underside isn't nearly as pretty, which sucks because it doesn't look very good when the ship is landed. And there is a spring-loaded shooter right there. And we all know how those work. You just push down and they fire. And the back of the ship does look pretty good. They do use some stickers right there, which is fine. It's a more tile. And I do like the engines. I especially like the blue thrust. And there are supposed to be 2 of those things, but one of mine broke off. And there are also these little flap things. They don't really serve any purpose. This is the underside of the ship. As you can see, it is a lot of Technic, and it does not look nearly as pretty. And you can see a bit of the actual structure of the spires. So yeah, they are very complicated. And if you want to actually fly the ship around, I would recommend that you hold it right here at these strong Technic points, because there is a lot of space for your fingers. And there are some landing gear. They can't actually retract, which is fine, and I think they look pretty good. Alright, and the wings can actually fold down. So, you just grab right here, and this is what they look like folded down. Sorry about the angle, it's a bit hard to do this, but, I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but I think it definitely looks better in the landed position. Alright, so now for the interior. First off, before I talk about that, there is, of course, the actual windshield, and it is actually a Speed Champions windshield in trans red with some black print on it. But to actually access the interior, all you do is you open this up for the seat, and you can open that more and open the sides. And there is quite a bit of interior space. So first off, there are some nice little control panel things right there. I think they look pretty good. There is some more on the other side. And I feel like they could have put another black tile right there to cover up that ugly tan and gray. And there is a bit of Imperial lighting. And there are 3 seats. There is, of course, the pilot, which is probably going to be the Grand Inquisitor. And he doesn't look terrible, it's just I feel like the control panel is way too high up. And that chair is what actually prevents the ramp from going into the actual ship. You can see his little legs right there. And they did actually leave a bit of space for his lightsaber. And the same goes for the other 2 chairs, which is neat. It's just I feel like they look like they're sticking out a bit too much. And for Reva, she's probably just going to hold her lightsaber. And those jumpers aren't just for looks. They're actually meant for soaring the lightsaber blades. And I feel like there definitely has to have been some sort of better solution they could have done for this. Just because it doesn't look that good, really. I don't know, I feel like they maybe could have done something more like this, where the lightsabers are just in some sort of crate. But an issue I can see with this is if you're trying to fly the ship around with the characters inside, the lightsaber blades would probably go flying out. And overall, this is actually a decent amount of interior, especially considering that a lot of LEGO Star Wars ships don't have much of an interior at all. And I do have to say, I do love the way you close up the actual thing. That's pretty satisfying. And you can actually see a bit of the Grand Inquisitor right there, but it's a bit hard to see just because of the trans red. But should you pick up the set? I mean, yeah, probably. I really like this set. I think that the whole build looks excellent. The figures are okay. They're not really the main focus. But the build is great. I think it looks amazing. I don't really have too many major issues with it. Plus, I definitely like having a lot of interior space. So I'll probably give this set about a 9 out of 10. I would highly recommend that you pick up this one, especially considering you can still buy it for the retail price on sites like Bricklink and eBay.